If we're just getting started on your left shoulder, we're looking in from the back to the front. Everything that you see is magnified 30 or 40 times on the screen. And this is how we usually start. We look at the biceps tendon here, which actually doesn't look too bad, but I think there was some tearing that we had already glimpsed at. You can see it's a little bit worn there. And then as we pull down, there's an area that's torn and inflamed even outside the joint. But we'll keep looking at that for a little bit longer. As we look down the front of the shoulder, hold the shaver, please. As we look down the front of the shoulder, we can see a little bit of fraying on the anterior labrum here, which we can smooth out with our shaver. And then as we move around to the back, we can see some signs of some arthritis, but really not that bad. Okay, hold the shaver, please. And so now we're going to rotate back and look at this rotator cuff tear. And we'll slip around the biceps and look up here. And here we can see where this cuff is completely pulled away from the bone. You can still see some of the old suture material here. But we can also see that the cuff is really nowhere, it is not attached anywhere near the normal footprint. And there, even with just a little bit of shaving, we can see that there's a pretty big hole in the tear in the cuff here, and that's what the tear is, or where the tear is, all along here. Pause, please. In the area of the shoulder called the subacromial space, you can see this large hole. You can see some of the old suture material sticking in the tin. Looks like old Ethibond suture material from a couple months ago. 7, 8 months ago when you had the old surgery. There's still a little bit of a downward slope to the acromion, so we're going to just smooth that out way at the anterior aspect of it here. Okay. And your clavicles over here, I don't really see any significant spurs underneath it, so that's a good sign. Okay. And now we'll figure out what we're going to do with this rotator cuff tendon. Pause, please. Hold the camera, please. Okay, so we're going to place our first suture anchor down in this region. About like that. Hold the camera, please. Let's see, if we rotate your shoulder, you can get one in. Actually, you don't need to do that even. We'll put one about there. Okay, so the next thing you'll see is a little instrument we call a punch. And we use that to make a little nick in the bone as a little starter hole for our screw, for our suture anchor. Let me take it. Okay, so here's our punch. Just trying to see the posterior extremity tear. You can see it there. So we're going to make a little hole right about here. You can open a second one. And into this hole we're going to place a suture anchor. We'll show you some more in just a minute. Pause, please. Okay, so here we've got one suture pulled out to the left side of the screen. We're going to use our suture hook here and a grasper, actually. Let me get a grasper, actually. And we're going to start anchoring down the posterior aspect of this tear. Our hook has a black wire loaded in it called a super shuttle. You can see it coming out of the tip. And we're going to really start way back posterior, so yeah, try and get way down here. there's a pretty good shot. We'll go ahead and feed that through. And then as we pull back, you'll see that suture. There it is right there. So I'm going to go ahead and tie this suture now. It'll give us a good idea of how much flexibility there is in the remaining tendon. So we'll show you how we tie these sutures outside the joint here, outside the space. There's an instrument called a knot pusher that we slide down like that. And then as we pull tight, you can see how that's going to hold that tendon down. Okay, and now that we have that tied pretty securely, we can go ahead and cut the suture tails, which will do just like that. So now from that one anchor, we've got two more sutures we can use, so we'll go ahead and get to work on that. We'll show you some more in a little bit. Okay, we've got this tear fully repaired. We've got the bicep secured as well. And it's all stitched back down to the bone. We just have to hope there's enough blood supply and enough healing that we can get this to mend this time. But the hole that was there is completely gone. You can see the initial anchor line was way lateral. We didn't have to mess with that. So now we're going to go ahead and finish up here and put in a pain pump and get you back to the recovery room. Hold the camera there, please. Real still. So as I rotate your arm, you can see all the sutures. There's our first anchor with 3 sutures in the back. We ended up placing 2 anchors with 3 sutures and 2 side-to-sides. So that's a total of 8 stitches to hold that all together. But as I rotate, you can see how that all looks pretty good now. So take care. Bye-bye.